Good morning, trading world. It is May 26, 2022, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. All right, this morning we're starting a little different because all eyes were on Nvidia's earnings yesterday. So can Nvidia's earnings trip up the entire market? Nvda closed at 169.75 and had an expected move of plus or minus 20 or so, which for now seems to have held up enough as to not knock over the dominos so far. It looks as though there will be some bid back to around the 165, 170 area at the market open before rolling over and trying to revisit the overnight lows. Now, if those lows hold at least the 150 level, we could see a range day take effect in the broader market, assuming that the financial sector continues grinding up. However, if Nvidia pulls tech down, plus financials roll over, and we get a pullback in energy sector, we are set for a possible breakout of the low side of the channel in the SPY. But for now, it looks as though we could get enough of a bid back in Nvidia and enough of a grind up in financials and energy that when the rollover happens, it holds inside the current channel. So in Nvidia, right now, what we're looking at, again, like I said, we're looking at probably bid back at the open somewhere between that 165, 170 area before we kind of roll over and go back and revisit the lows and possibly that 150 area. And as long as we hold that 150 area, we should be fine, and we'll start to see some type of bid back coming in Nvidia, and that kind of gives us permission to have a range day in the broader markets. So we're going to pull back, but we should possibly hold the bottom side of the current channel that we're in. Another key going forward is the Dow. The current stocks at the top of the Dow will be key in the next rollover. And just to name a few, you have UNH, United Healthcare, GS, Goldman Sachs, HD for Home Depot, and CAT for Caterpillar. Those are all the stocks at the top of the Dow right now, holding or kind of pushing the Dow positive right now. The Dow is calculated different than the S&P. Usually you would just do a search for market cap, the biggest holders of market cap in the S&P, but the Dow is price weighted. So the larger the share price, the more of an influence a particular stock has on the Dow. So you just look for the largest stock prices. And like I said again, right now that's United Healthcare, Goldman Sachs, Home Depot, Microsoft, from which I left out because I'm already paying attention to that in the S&P, and then CAT, but there's a couple I left out as far as Amgen and McDonald's. I gotta take a closer look at those before I start to say where they're headed. But again, those will be key in the next rollover. All right, with that, let me bring up the key levels of the day for the SPY. All right, and here we are back with the key levels of the day. Starting on the support side, we have Jack support at 397 to the 396 area. queen support at 395 to the 393 area, and king support from 392 all the way down to the 386 area. On the resistance side, we have 398 to the 399 area. That's the jack resistance. Queen resistance, we have 400 to the 403 area, and then king resistance 404 to the 409 area. I'm going to place extra emphasis down here at the 394 area, and also extra emphasis on the 400 area on the resistance side. Pay key or focus heavily on those areas today, because that we have a high probability of making that the key high in our range day model, and possibly key low in our range day model. And as you should know, in our range day structure, range day, we usually set a high and set a low, and we usually bounce in between. And on the expansive range day model, that's where we set a high, set a low, but we push those boundaries. All right, with all of that, that brings us into the scenarios for the day. Let me bring that up. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I bring the scenarios up, let me do the thesis for today. Our intraday thesis. The main thesis for today is bearish, closing below 397.37 with a projected target low of between 394 and the 390 area. Our alternate thesis is bullish, closing above the 397.37 with a projected target high of between 403 and 409. The current channel we are in is 397 all the way up to 416. And the next minor channel that comes up is above us, and that's 404 to 414. All right, our first scenario is our range day structure. We could look to set a decision area high boundary around the jack or queen resistance area before starting to fade for a portion of the day. So we'll fade down, and somewhere around that 394, we're going to hopefully find support and start to kind of work our way back toward the middle of the range at some point in the day. So that's our most probable scenario, is our range day structure. And with this, you can pretty much set your boundary top and low, and we can just look for trades in between that once those boundaries are set during the first portion of the day. All right, our second scenario is our rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued push higher toward the king or queen resistance area and find midday chop around either that queen or king resistance before spending the same energy we use going up to go back down the second half of the day. Also, take heed to the vice versa probability on this as well, because it is quite possible that we continue winding down and we could get the vice versa, which would look like that, where we get the continued push lower and find our midday chop area at either the queen or king support area, and then use that same energy that we use coming down to go back up the second half of the day. So that's our rounded reversal day type structure. All right, the last day structure I had to think long and hard about, because I really wanted to put the expansive range day up, and I usually when I put range day, it's kind of hard to, because I don't really separate those as being very much different, so that I can give access to a alternate explosive move that would happen, and if we got the alternate thesis, it wouldn't fall under another range day, or it would fall under the expansive range day, but it's very repetitive to put that as the third scenario. So we're going to go with a trend day up that, if it was to happen, it will be a very mild or very weak trend day up type scenario, where we got the gap up and we start with the fade back toward the previous close, and we find that support on or before that previous close, and then begin that uptrend for the morning. And that uptrend I'm looking at, if this was to happen, would be pretty mild for today. So we wouldn't see much past that 403 area today. If we did get that trend day, I usually see trend days like that reserved for expiration days, and that's going to play into what's in store for us on Friday, where we could get a pretty wild trend day that could take us or explode pretty decently up. So as far as now, a mild trend day, we find that midday chop either around the queen, and I'm going to focus on the queen resistance area today. So those are the scenarios for today. I do want to kind of point out another item. And the next item that I want to point out is that I have a trend channel drawn on the chart, and we've broken out of that channel, and we're going to go into the next channel. Let me see if I can find the appropriate drawing. All right, this is the trend channel. This very light red line here, this was a channel that we had been following for the week, and we've now broken above that channel. And then there's another set of trend channels where I mark the actual horizontal channels. Let me bring that up. It's going to be quite hard to see because this is just going to look like a lot of garbage up here on the chart, but I'm going to bring the 4-hour up so that we can kind of focus on the main channels. I have it highlighted here in blue. This is a channel line that we've been holding pretty well. And as you can see, we're at that midpoint of the channel. We're at the midpoint of the channel, so I expect a bit of resistance here where we kind of go back, pull back, and kind of consolidate and gather the energy to kind of break through that portion of that midpoint of the channel at some point. And I'm looking for that to happen on Friday, where we break through. We could possibly get a peek through today, but if everything holds true to what I'm seeing, we get a breakthrough and a pretty explosive move up on Friday from breaking through that midpoint of the channel. So that's the pre-market for the day. As always, please understand and know your risk. I hope this helps. And as always, wishing you a positive trading day. Have a good one.